Hey guys, welcome back to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. I'm your host, the Ghost of Texas Football, joined by Mr. Will Stone, college football top right, bottom right, Daily Joy, first time on the channel, welcome, and the bottom left, LSU Painted Posse, also making his first appearance on the channel. Everybody doing all right tonight, guys?
Great.
Doing great, yeah.
Doing great. We are 1-0 last week, so that's all I can ask for at this point.
I kind of despise all three of you right now because y'all are just like ho hum, like yeah, we're good. Like it could be way worse. Okay, I promise. Okay, you could have just got barked at and manhandled by a Kirby Smart defense. All right, and
we dealt with that our fair time. So welcome to the NPC, buddy.
I get it though. A huge game at Kyle Field this weekend between LSU and Texas A&M, ranked 8th and 14th respectively. Should be a scene down there at Kyle Field. You can tell that Mr. Will Stone has bought into the blackout, and they're practicing it already. I'm not trying to participate, but here we are. What are our overall thoughts, Daily Joy? We're going to start with you. When you think about LSU, this LSU team traveling to Texas A&M, what are your overall thoughts, and then maybe some things that kind of concern you, if anything, about Texas A&M?
Yeah, for real. I obviously I feel like LSU's peaking at the right time. I thought everyone kind of set them up to have a track game last week at Arkansas, and they came out and let everyone know that was nothing that anyone needed to be concerned about. You won by 24 points. With that being said, my biggest concern is that until Texas rejoined the SEC, we were A&M Super Bowl, and that part always makes me nervous, especially going into College Station. I know we'll get into this later, but that's a hard place to play. I will absolutely give A&M and the Aggies props for that. They're going to make our lives a living hell. The only blessing in that is that LSU's pretty used to loud stadiums. I'm not saying that gives us any kind of advantage. I don't like the setup of going into College Station and playing A&M. That does make me nervous. However, with that being said, I do feel like LSU's peaking at the right times. It feels like they've really put everything together, and they kind of know what they're doing, I'm going to say. And our defense seems to be getting better week after week. Connor Wegman really struggled last week at Mississippi State. That gives me some hope. So I'm cautiously optimistic going into this weekend. I'll say it like that.
All right. We'll go to the A&M side a little bit. What about you, Will?
Yeah, it's certainly a big game, and coming into the season, wasn't entirely sure what I would see out of A&M. Wasn't really sure what we would see out of LSU. Both lost our first week games to teams that we probably should have beaten and probably would beat had we played again today, but have both been on a tear since then. And LSU peaking at the right time. Garrett Nussmeier playing extremely well. Got some great receivers. What gives me the optimism is that it is at Kyle Field, because we do not play well in Death Valley. If this game was over there, I would have it 60-40 LSU as of right now, probably 60-40 A&M. Having a night game, the blackout, all the the good vibes and whatnot. But I think matchup-wise, it's pretty evenly split. But we can get into some of that stuff later. But all in all, pretty optimistic. But we're playing a really great LSU team, and it's a huge game in college football and for our fan base. So I'm just really excited to watch it.
No doubt, my man. We've got a big game that day, and I still, I think about your game right there along with ours. It's gonna be a big one. It's just what it is. Part of me is very nervous because I can already see Twitter playing out after an Aggie win, and it's a pretty dark place to go for me mentally. LSU Painted Posse, let's hear from you. What are you looking at when you think about LSU traveling to Kyle Field?
Yeah, a lot of things they said. Of course, the home field advantage is a big deal. We haven't won there since 2016, although I will say all three of those games since then were with a certain other Aggie coach who was paid a lot of money not to be there anymore. So things could change. We'll see if they do or not. But as far as the actual substance of the game, keep dragging on, Cole. I do like the matchup of our defense on their offense, especially after a rough game last week. I know Wegman's been doing pretty well this season up till last week, but I think we're going to be able to hold them to not a crazy running game. I don't think it'll look like Missouri, which they were cooking on in both the run game and the pass game, but I think we'll especially be able to stop their run, and that'll be able limit the points and keep us in the game, because I'm sure it'll be hard to score with 100,000 people going crazy. I think it'd be low scoring. I think we got a good shot, but it'll probably come down to some crazy play at the end.
Would you LSU folks? Would y'all take the ball and Garrett Nussmeier's hand, have the chance to go down and win it? Down 3, down 4. Would you take that situation, that scenario right there?
I would take exactly that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're ignorant not to if you watch what he's done in the last couple of major games when the ball's been in his hand. If I'm being really completely honest with you, I was watching him in the last series against Ole Miss, and when we got the ball back, I said, oh, we're going to lose this game. Like, I thought we were losing. And granted, we were down the whole game. We never had a lead. So I'm sitting here going, like, we haven't been able to catch the lead all game long. Like, what makes this different? But the kid's got ice in his veins and is clutch when you need him to be. And so if that's the case, then I'll take him all day.
Okay, just curious what it reminds me. For me, it's a tough spot for LSU just because you guys came off the thank you, Fatty. It's good to see you here.
Oh, no.
I love how we talk about it for 3 minutes before we go live, and here he is. But for me, it's a tough spot for LSU right there. You have the tough home emotional win over Ole Miss, and then now you turn around, you go to Arkansas, and Arkansas was all juiced up for that game. Obviously, y'all's defense kind of controlled them. The big pick in the second half kind of ended that game, in my opinion. Just Arkansas didn't have, they don't have the offense to score on you guys right now. Taylor Green doesn't look fully healthy, and I don't know if it would have mattered the way your defense is playing right now. All right, guys. Sorry, we're having some audio issues. I don't know if that's everybody. I do apologize. I definitely don't normally sound robotic, but hopefully it just evens itself out. Let's see here. Turn off all the Wi-Fi. But
I'm doing the same right now.
Apologies, guys. Hopes, yeah. So we're getting some solid reviews here on the sound. So hopefully it fixes itself. But yeah, for me, A&M had a bye week, and they have Mississippi State. No disrespect to them, they're playing. They're fighting right now. They really are. Jeff Levy's Bulldogs have covered the spread 3 straight games against Texas, Georgia, and then Texas A&M. So yeah, I don't feel like A&M is going to be as tired, as worn down as LSU. But I tell you what, even if it benefits Texas with a Texas A&M. Even if it's Texas to see Texas A&M win this game, there's no way in hell I'm rooting for that. There's just no chance on earth.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I felt the same way last week. If Texas had given Georgia a second loss, that would have helped A&M immensely. But I wasn't rooting for it, of course. But I just kind of went into that game looking at, hey, if Texas wins, I have to listen to that for the rest of the year. But it will give Georgia a second loss. And if they lose, then they lost, and that's also great. So, yeah, the whole SEC race is pretty wild. Looking at all the different scenarios. Obviously, this weekend is a really big matchup that's going to determine that. But like you guys still have Alabama, we still have Texas. Texas has us. We have to go to South Carolina, which I'm not looking forward to with their great D line. So, it's still the top 6 or 7 teams. It's still anybody's game.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It does seem to be wide open right now. Moving on to the next topic, and we'll let you defend yourself first in this regard. Is the Kyle Field home advantage overrated?
So I think it's appropriately rated. I get it if you only look, like if your only metric is wins and losses, you'd probably come to the conclusion that it is overrated. But you look at the big games where you look at 2021 Alabama, we've lost 2 games back to back to Arkansas, Mississippi State. We're on our backup quarterback who's been struggling, and that the attendance for that game is in the top 5 all time at Kyle Field, and it was absolutely electric. H.A. runs the kickback to put us up over Alabama, I think before halftime, and the place is going nuts, and they pull it off, and you've seen teams come in there. I mean, Alabama last year had like 6 or 7 false starts. Notre Dame had false starts to delay games this year. Missouri had like at least 3 or 4 penalties due to the noise, due to the DJ Mike spinning up Mo Bamba. I know Longhorn fans have commentary on us using that song, but I think it's an appropriately. I mean, and to be completely fair, I would still say that Tiger Stadium is a tougher place to play. It's the people in Louisiana are total nut jobs, and I mean that in the best way, but especially with college football and their energy, it's really tough to go in there and get a win. I'd put A&M, just behind them with maybe like a Penn State or Tennessee or Oregon, someone like that. But I think the lack of wins is due to the coaching and not due to the atmosphere when you have a big game like this weekend. I mean, LSU, I watched some of that Arkansas game. They had some false starts, and Kyle was a lot louder than the stadium in Fayetteville. So they may not. They may come out and be completely, cold-blooded. But no, I do think that it's rated appropriately. It's probably not number 1, but it's certainly up there.
I think that's fair. I don't think you committed too much right there. You definitely said it's louder than Fayetteville. I agree with you there. I'm hoping to get to judge both places in November for myself. I know I'll be at old Kyle Field. Joey, what are your thoughts on Kyle Field? I know earlier you were pretty nice about it, but what are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree. I think I've also made enough Aggie fans mad on social media today that I don't need to keep going. But no, I would agree with that. I think we probably hold schools to way higher standards just because of the standard that we hold ourselves to. And in all actuality, that's probably not entirely fair. But when you're consistently told that you have the loudest and the most intimidating stadium in college football, it's hard not to compare everything that you've ever known. With that being said, Will nailed it. I'm nervous about Kyle Field mainly because I watched us play Arkansas last week. I watched the false starts happen over and over and over again. And if you're doing that in a stadium that's significantly louder, then Kyle Field's only going to make that harder on you. My hope is that Brian Kelly's addressed that in practice and said, hey, this is not okay. This is not the way that we play ball. Y'all have got to calm down. It's not like they haven't played in loud environments before. I do think that one thing that people forget is this team is relatively young. And so even though there are some older guys and you recognize their names, a lot of those false start penalties weren't on older guys. They were on younger, less experienced guys. So my hope is that you go into practice and say hey, 7 false starts against Arkansas is never going to do well here in Kyle Field. And I would like to think that we won't underestimate what Kyle Field will bring. Brian Kelly's not killing DeBoer. He didn't say hey, he's not going to be that loud. He's not like that. And so I think he will go into A&M respecting this. And I think we as fans are aware of the expectation and what's going to happen in this game. We know we're going to get A&M's absolute best game. And if we as fans know that, I think it would be ignorant to assume that the coaching staff and the team doesn't know that. But with that being said, Kyle Field will absolutely play a factor in this game, and it's just going to be a fact of whether or not LSU is able to prepare accordingly for that.
No, very well said and very respectful. What about you, LSU Painted Posse? Do you fear Kyle Field?
Not at all. I think it's really overrated. It might not actually be worse than Arkansas. So no, but I'm excited to go on Saturday. I've only been to 2 SEC stadiums, and one of them is ours. So it's hard to say whether or not a stadium is better than others or not if you haven't been to those. Of course, it's most people haven't been to a lot of stadiums, including myself. So it's always nice to actually go experience that, and hopefully I'll be able to make a better judgment. But I'm sure it'll be crazy there.
What is the other venue that you've been to?
Ole Miss last year. Hoping I don't.
That explains so much about why you just had the opinion that you had.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been to a handful of other places, and I've not been to LSU yet for a game. I need to get over there for one, but honestly, I haven't been that impressed with at least the volume in the stadiums. I've been to Ole Miss, I've been to Georgia and Clemson. Especially like Georgia is like it's a cool atmosphere, but it's not intimidating really. I don't think at all, and not super loud. It's intimidating because they're really good, not because of the stadium or the fans. And even Tennessee last year, maybe because we're not Alabama or Georgia or Florida, the teams they truly hate. They weren't up for that one, but that one I was like, okay, like this is a really good atmosphere, but it's not this crazy intimidating type place that teams should be afraid of coming to. But I think in the SEC it's A&M and LSU, and then everyone else is kind of after that.
I've been to a good amount of them, and I could probably argue that statement. I've been to obviously LSU. I've been to Alabama. I've been to Auburn. I've been to Georgia. I've been to South Carolina. I've been to Tennessee. I've been to a good amount of them, and I would say I went to Georgia, Alabama this year, and that was the loudest I've ever heard Bryant-Denny. And I was in that stadium when LSU played Alabama in 2015. Both teams were undefeated. We were 1, they were 2. We had Leonard Fournette, and they absolutely skull drug us. And I would still say that Alabama this year playing Georgia was louder than that. So I would compare Neyland and Bryant-Denny to LSU in terms of loud. So it's just. But it also just really is determined by who you're playing. Like certain fan bases are going to drag in enough volume and enough noise. But there's some really great stadiums that produce a lot of noise in the SEC. I have been lucky enough and privileged enough to go to a lot of them. I still personally just think LSU's on top. And from someone who has a friend that has traveled to a bunch of stadiums this year and has a very unbiased opinion, he tends to agree. So Kyle Field will play a role, but LSU still sits on top of the rankings for sure.
Well said. And before I address it, guys, please let me know in the comments if the audio is it just bad on you. It sounds like it's bad on Twitter and YouTube both. If it continues to be that way, I might just have everybody hop out and not restart, but just kind of reset it, because I definitely don't want you guys to just be listening to quote unquote the sound like a trash compactor. It's pretty, So I do apologize again. Please let me know if y'all would in the comments. And I think Kyle Field is very, very loud, and I'm going to give you a little credit here. Do you think people maybe like over prepare for Kyle Field because it's such a loud and tough place to play? They get those extra reps in. Like Joy kind of said, if everybody knows if the fans know it's a tough place to play, coaches maybe they just stay up all night getting ready for Kyle Field, and that's why the home record isn't what I know a lot of you Aggies feel like it should be. But y'all done well against top competition at Kyle Field.
Yeah, I mean, for so long we couldn't beat LSU there or here, and then we got our first win in Jimbo's first year. That's a home win, and then ever since then, it's been the home team has won the game in that series. And I do want to give some credit to our fans for, especially in the 5-7 year, we're 4-7 going into that LSU game, and they're ranked in the top 5. They already won the West. We are beat to hell, playing a bunch of freshmen and not playing. We lost to App State. We were not a very good team that year, but the fans still showed up. They were loud. The defense played great. Had a couple turnovers on Jaden Daniels and a fumble return for touchdown. So, in the big games, like even Notre Dame, like even though we didn't pull it out, the crowd was as good as ever. And I think honestly, it's gotten better since, or it's it's been great through the 2000s and or the late 2000s. Like everyone talks about Nebraska as being a great atmosphere and the loudest it's ever been. But 2016 Tennessee, 2013 Bama, and then the ones I've named that are more recent. I think the crowd, like when it's a big game, especially like this weekend, I would expect it to be at its best. I've never seen a blackout. I'm not sure that we've ever done one. We did a whiteout when I was a freshman, but since then, yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything like it. So I'm pumped for that and pumped to see how the crowd is because I know it's going to be great.
Dude, I have no doubt the Aggies are going to bring it. Real quick, guys, we're going to hop out and hop right back in.
Yeah.
Is that okay by everybody? I'm so sorry about this.
For sure.
First time this has happened, so I'm hoping that we can just end this stream, start a new stream, and that'll work for everybody. So give me one